Hello beautiful people, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Oluchi Imo, and on this channel I talk about cake business, I share tips on personal developments, and I share some other things as well. I am an international award-winning cake artist that is based in Manchester, the United Kingdom, and if you're stopping by for the first time, you are welcome. I'm really happy to have you here, and if you've always been here, thank you so much for your support. Today I'm talking about something that relates to your cake, something very important that relates to most of us as bakers. Now, some of us have times when we bake, or we bake all the time, and it's a major concern for us when our cakes come out dry and crumbly. So you're baking and you're not achieving that moistness that you want, you're not achieving that fluffy texture that you want. Something is wrong, or some things are wrong. In this video I'm going to be telling you why your cakes are going dry or getting dry and crumbly when you bake. Now if this is something you're interested in, you want to keep on watching, because I'll be right back. And you're welcome back. So the first thing I want to talk about, obviously, or the first thing that comes to mind, is the temperature of your oven. So it's either your oven is hot, too hot, you're baking at the wrong temperature, or you're baking at the temperature. So the first thing that comes to mind, obviously, is temperature. Your oven temperature. It's either you're baking at a wrong temperature, a temperature that is slightly higher or too high for your cakes that you're baking, or you are putting your cake or leaving your cake in the oven for longer than you should. So if your cake bakes and you're the fan, you're adding brown cakes, you want your cakes to look so a little brown, you want it to be brown a bit. Sometimes you put them in and sometimes you let them stay in the oven after baking, after getting done, and they get overdone, and this results into a dry cake. For myself, talking from personal experience, I've also observed that the top of my oven, when I was back in Nigeria, the top part of my oven is the hottest. I don't know how to explain this science, so I don't know how to explain this, but the top of my oven was usually the hottest, and that's where I place my chocolate cakes when I'm baking, so it gets done fast and it gets done well. So if you do that, you put your cake, probably your oven is like mine, you're using a fabricated or a local oven like mine. Even here, if you put your cakes too close to the grill, to that top, the top part where you have those things, I don't know if it's called filament or what, please, I don't know what it's called, but if you put it too close to the top, it would get dry. First of all, it will cook faster than it should, and it will get dry, and it will crack, it will break. So you do not want that. You want to monitor your temperature. First of all, you want to use the right temperature, not the right temperature you're supposed to use for baking. It varies from oven to oven. That is one mistake I made here that I would not want you to make. So please make sure that you understand how your oven works. I have a couple of videos that talk about this, how to use oven, and my experience here in the UK on learning how to use my oven. So know how to use your oven, what works for you. Check online, check Google, and use an online manual if you cannot get one that is for your brand, and check how it works. And then bake with the right temperature, bake for the required amount of time. Do not leave too long in the oven, and do not bake at a high temperature, else your cake will be dry and crumbly. So the second part I want to talk about is this: your ingredients. There's a mix-up somewhere, or there's an imbalance somewhere. And when I talk about imbalance, you probably might be using a little too much flour than you're supposed to use, or you're using less liquid than you should. So let me talk about the flour. So there's a way you measure your flour, and you might think, oh, because this recipe calls for probably 250 grams or 2.5 cups or something for this particular recipe,
and I measured 2.5 cups. What could be the problem?
You do not know that your measuring method or your measuring style is the problem. So you're measuring in a way that at the end of the day, you're taking much more, you're taking more flour than you need. Right? I don't know if I can do a video on how to measure, but I would love to show you how I measure my own cake. So I fluff it up, measure my own flour, I beg your pardon. So I fluff it up and then take it bit by bit to measure. That way I am within range. Sometimes I even measure with cups, and then I go ahead to just double check if I'm right or if it's correct using a digital scale. Okay, so please make sure that you're using the right required, first of all, the right recipe. Make sure your recipe is good, your recipe is okay to work with, and then if you're measuring, make sure that you're measuring right, so that you're not thinking that you're taking the right amount of flour but it's too heavy at the end of the day, or it's too much or much more than you need at the end of the day. And make sure that you're not using too less liquid. In fact, once there's a balance in your recipe, you're sure to come out with us a good result. So please be mindful of the amount of flour that you're using so that you don't use too much than you need. So the third thing I'll talk about is your baking pan. I know that I've talked about this a couple of times, and I don't know if we understand how this works. Back in Nigeria, even I think the last video I put, or the last two videos, I don't know when this video will be coming up. So the fruitcake video I baked, or if you've watched my baking videos, you know that there's a particular type of pan that I use. Fortunately, I was able to bring few of them over here to the UK. So those pans work really fine and really good. If you're using a certain kind of pan that is not good for baking, that's not made of good material for baking, that conducts heat well, then your cakes would be coming out dry. You'll be coming out with different results, and one of them, different unpleasant results, let me say, and one of them might be cakes that are dry. So make sure that you invest in getting the right pans. Get pans that would serve you well. There are all quality brands that you can buy over there in Nigeria, and even here in the UK, there are quality brands that you should invest in. And these are things that shouldn't bite you for so much, or shouldn't be a bother to use so much, because these are things that you would use over a period of time. Like, you're going to use it for the longest, for a long haul. Okay, you're not going to just use and dump them away. So please set money aside, set funds aside, and then invest in getting a good pan so that you get the right result. I've talked of getting burnt cakes using a certain type of pan back home, and it also goes down to your cakes. Your cakes will go dry if you're not using the right kind of pan, or a quality kind of baking pan for your cakes. So please do well to invest in good pans for baking. Now, the next point I'll be talking about is exposure. So when you bake your cakes, you expose them. When you bring them out of the oven, you probably, because you want to cool them, you just leave them out uncovered. You're not sealing it, you're not properly covering it, you're not wrapping it in cling film, you're just leaving it out and open. First of all, that's not hygienic, it's not safe, it's not good for human it's not good per se. It's not good for you to just leave your cakes exposed like that. And then when you put it in a room that has the AC on, your cakes are going to be dry. Your cakes are going to be dry, so you don't want to expose them to either the AC or just normal weather conditions, especially now here in the UK when it's getting cold. If you leave things outside, before you come back, they are cold and dry. Your biscuits, your cakes, that's what I've seen over time. So you don't just want to expose your cakes. You want to do the right thing. When you bring it out, seal it in. If you're not a fan of sealing in, or you don't do this, then please make sure that once it cools down, you're wrapping it up, and then you're putting it in your either freezer or putting it in the fridge, pending when you are going to use it. Now, these are a few reasons why you are getting dry and crumbly cakes, and to fix this, you can either moisten it by using sugar syrup, which is just a constituent of water and sugar in a particular ratio, or you can check my video on how to bake moist cakes every single time. I have that video linked for you so that you can watch and then you can learn. Don't expose your cakes just to harsh temperatures or cool and dry temperatures or air. Make sure you do the reverse of all these things that I've said. Make sure you bake at the right temperature and do all of these things. You'll begin to get better results when it comes to your baking. I hope that you've gotten value from this video, and I hope that it's been of great help to you. Please don't forget to like this video, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to turn on notifications as well so that you're notified when I upload a new video. Thank you so much for watching. Until I see you in my next video, stay happy, stay safe, and stay blessed.